Hello and welcome to a special Brighton Festival at Home edition of Fagellini's Sing the Score. Fagellini and the Academy of Ancient Music were down to be with you a few weeks ago, and this I suppose is a very gentle replacement for that, along with our cake mix that I hope you've enjoyed over the past week. If you've not come across it before, Sing the Score is Fagellini's online series of short episodes that introduce a piece of choral music and then you sing along to a score of it. The whole series can be found here, and this week we have an absolute classic, John Bennet's 4-part Weep O Mine Eyes, not to be confused with John Wilby's 5-part Weep Weep Mine Eyes. Now the experienced singers amongst you might be thinking, that's not quite hard enough, but in fact I think it's one of those not too difficult to sing along to for a bit of sight reading, but actually a lifetime to master madrigals, so I think you'll find issues to challenge you here. Quick bit of history first. Bennet published only one book of madrigals in 1599. He probably lived in the northwest of England and only published this one book of madrigals, but he also appears in Morley's 1601 collection, The Triumphs of Oriana, with his very popular All Creatures Now Are Merry, 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 Merry Minded. Quick look at the poem. Weep, O mine eyes, and cease not. Alas, these your springtides, methinks, increase not. Oh, when begin you to swell so high that I may drown me in you? Curious conceit really, because the tears aren't flowing enough, says the poet. When will they flow more so that he may drown himself in you? Now, my friend Claire talks about a certain lack of sincerity in the telling of the eyes to cry, and even wonders whether this poem might have a sadistic narrative. But honestly, she needs to get out a bit more. Anyway, not a great piece of poetry, but some nice sounding individual words. Mine eyes, springtides, and especially that last line, so high that I may drown me in you. Those sorts of sounds are a real feature of English. They would have sounded a bit different at the time, but it's the same principle. A single written vowel pronounced as a group of them. We call it a diphthong. You can also get a triphthong, even a quadrithong, though those can be a little uncomfortable. Still, my new company, Linguistics and Lingerie, has been a nice little sideline during the lockdown.
Meow.
Anyway, as you sing along, do make these diphthongs part of your sound world and try to turn them at the same time as Fagellini's singers on the track. Also, do make sure you're subscribed to this series so you can join us for a follow-up episode called
The Incredible World of Diphthongs.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you can just press the subscribe button down there. And if you're on Facebook, just pop over to efagellini.com/singthescore and subscribe there. There's one other issue we need to get to grips with to get the best out of this piece, and for that we need a bit of physics. Even I can understand this, and I failed my physics O-level. As my physics teacher used to say, you see, Hollingworth, boys of your calibre have to aim at 50%. Which is odd, because he was Scottish. First principles. What is a note, or pitch? Pitch is our perception of regular vibration, whether on a violin string, or vocal folds, or air in a tube. If the vibrations are constant, say 110 times per second on a tense metal string, then you hear this pitch. And if my vocal folds vibrate at the same speed as that, 110 vibrations a second, you hear ah. Same pitch, different sounds. What makes a note in tune? Well, nothing of itself, only its connection to another note. So if I take a note here and then bend that slightly away from another version of it, we hear that as out of tune. Whereas if I sing ah and then la, those two notes, although they're much further apart than the two harpsichord notes, sound much nicer together. Why is that? Well, although those two notes are further apart from each other, the number of vibrations in them is very simply mathematically related. The low one is 110 vibrations per second and the high one is 220 vibrations. If I double it again, it's 440. 110, 220, 440. So the interval between them, which we call an octave, sounds nice because the higher note has twice the number of vibrations as the lower note. And instead of saying vibrations per second all the time, we're going to call them by their technical name, which is hertz. So you can keep doubling the number of vibrations, 110, 220, 440. But what if you don't double them? You simply add the same number again. 120, 220, where will 330 be? 110, 220, 330, 440, 550. But wait a minute, those sound like the notes of a major chord. And so we learn that a major chord sounds nice because the notes in it are related by a simple multiple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of the number of hertz of the chord's fundamental note. And we call any series of a fundamental note its harmonic series. And the natural intervals between its notes are pure and perfect and sound fab together. And any tweaking of them is an abhorrence of nature. So if I were to play that same chord on a piano, I'd expect the C sharp at the top to be tuned to 550 Hz so that it would be a nice major third at the top of the chord. But in fact, no, it's been tuned to nearly 555 Hz. That's nearly a fifth of a semitone out. But who would do such a thing? Is this some sort of sick practical joke? I mean, if I were to learn to sing alongside a musical Jezebel like this, my tuning would be scarred for life. Let's just hear a pure third against a piano's version, an equal tempered one. The equal one really buzzes. And I'm afraid to say that it's the same with minor thirds. On a piano, they've all been tuned too small by about the same amount, the sixth of a semitone. Now, we're not talking taste here, some kind of contemporary or 16th century fad for tuning systems. We're just trying to get the chord to sound as nice as it possibly can. And you may listen to those samples and say, well, they sound the same to me, or one of them has a bit more of a buzz, but that'll do. The trouble is that buzz is the two notes' own harmonics several octaves further up having a bit of a fight, and the chord will never settle until you can get that roughly right. But brothers and sisters, I say to you there is hope. Dump the piano!
3, 2, 1!
Oh, I say, unorthodox stuff there. You may just have got away with it, but you won't find that in any coaching manual. And if there are youngsters watching, well, I'd say don't try this at home.
So a piece like ours sounds best with the intervals as pure as possible. And that also allows the diphthongs to do their magic. Why not just tune pianos pure? That's one for another day. But I say to you, friends, Romans, countrymen, retrain your ears. And in a piece like this, it means that when you come across a note acting as a major third, such as G sharp over E, don't push the G sharp high, as we're all taught to do with sharps. Let it sit lowish. And if you have a minor third such as the C over the A, then that C should feel a little higher than it does on the piano, which really slots into place. Oh! And this week, to help you, on the score, we've marked the important tuning notes that affect the thirds with little arrows pointing down or up over them to help you know whether to aim fractionately higher or lower to make those thirds pure. Good luck, and remember to give in to the sensual pleasure of the diphthongs. It's society's crime, not ours. Lastly, a reminder that these things take time and money to make, and this week we're trying to raise money both for E. Fagellini and the Brighton Festival to try to make sure we're both here next year. So one request, please. Press that little subscribe button down there. And do also share it with the choir. 2 requests, subscribe button and share. And please pay something as well. 3 requests, subscribe, share, pay a little something towards it, and join EFAG. Amongst our weaponry are such diverse elements as subscribing, sharing, paying for the arts online, and a night out with a musicologist. Ooh!
Okay, dudes, here's the warning. This piece is about weeping, and the first 4 notes in all the parts are probably quoting Dowland's "Flow, my tears." But you can't say that for sure, so don't quote me, okay? We
stars